Okie dokes. All right, all right. Are we live? Can you guys everybody see me? Can everybody see me and hear me okay? Let me just make sure everything's good before I start on my rant. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Yes? Joel says yes. We're good. We're good. Hang on a second. How's that music? Is the music too loud for you guys? I have a little music in the background. Can you guys still hear me okay? Give me a little thumbs up. This is new, so I don't know. And I can't hear the chat the way you guys hear it, so. You can hear but no see. Oh, well, let's fix that then. How about that? Here I am. Hello. Welcome to Ford's Playground, guys. How's my playmates? My favorite playmates. How you guys doing tonight? Yes? Awesome. Good to see you guys. Joel's in the house. Christine's in the house. Deborah's in the house. Tina Marie is in the house. Thank you guys very much for showing up. You guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. You guys are here for some deep conversations. Yes, give me a heart for deep conversation. And if you can, just take a quick moment to give me a little like in the background real quick, because it just takes a second, and it really helps us spread, because I'm new at this, and it'll help me get the analytics up for me. Yes, awesome. You guys are amazing. And I was getting crazy watching myself squint on the last one, so I learned how to blow my screen up. Hang on a second. Let me see. Oh, why won't we do that? Interesting. Okay, awesome. Can you guys ever get pretty good? Greetings. Lady Spells in the house. Lady Spellbreaker, what's up? What's up? What's up? I love these conversations too. These are my favorite. Shoes is in the house. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. First, I want to say thank you guys so much for all of the amazing compliments I've been getting over the last couple of weeks. I have no idea what I'm doing with this. I'm just kind of winging it. And you guys have given me the most amazing encouragement to keep going, and really heartfelt messages. So I really thank you a lot for that. It really means the world to me. And also tonight, kind of celebrating a little bit with you guys, the third eye chakra video on the Phi Tribe channel, which is the main channel if you're new to this channel. That video just hit 10 million views. Well, it's about a few thousand short of hitting 10 million views, but it'll probably happen next couple of days, next day or so. But very, very exciting, and I'm so glad to share that with you. It's very, very exciting for me to, I don't know, to realize that I was able to reach that many people is pretty amazing, and it really, really is heartwarming. And it's amazing to have been able to reach that many people so far with doing this kind of music, this connection to the spirit, and that's exactly what this music does by aligning you with the way, the fractality of the universe, which is what we're going to get into today. So I was letting you guys drive it, and I'm still letting you guys drive this, but we have to find a happy medium between being prepared for something and then to be completely spontaneous and let spirit kind of take us through. So I definitely want you to please contribute as much as you guys can in the chat, and I'll pick up what you guys are putting down. And but you know, to anybody out there who's an artist, is there anybody in the chat room who's an artist? Yes. So artists, it's a very, very important thing to get in what's called the flow state, or the zone, as some artists call it, right? And the zone and flow state is a place where you want to be, which is it's a grace. It's somewhere in between trying and not trying. It's right in that little kind of window. And if you try too hard, you fall out of it, and the creative juices just shut off. It's like that faucet of spirit just turns off. But if you surrender just the right amount, it opens that faucet up, and then all of that information and imagination comes pouring through, and that's how you make great art. And every artist is aware of this. Every athlete is aware of this. Everyone knows the importance of getting in the zone, the flow state. And that's exactly what the Phi Tribe music does, is it uses sympathetic resonance to align you to the flow state, which is really the golden ratio. And that is a ratio that is found everywhere in the universe. It's ubiquitous throughout everything. It doesn't matter how macro you look at the world or how micro you look at the world. The one constant is the golden ratio. And it's funny that the only place you don't find it is in music, which I always thought was very, very strange. And that is the whole reason why Phi Tribe is doing that now. And it's amazing. Why would you not want to be in sync with the universe? That's the whole point, right? All right, we got some artists in here. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. So I started this out. It's got a very controversial kind of title about ditching the dogma. And that's a scary idea to many of you, because the dogma is such a huge part of this, especially if you are, if your ego is identified with the spiritual experience and the culture surrounding what it is to be spiritually awakened or on the pathway to that. And awesome. So where was I? Oh geez, I lost my train of thought. Don't you hate that? Isn't that really crazy? Anyway, so what I was getting to was I wanted to talk about letting go of that dogma. And the dogma is something that the ego latches onto when you're identified with the spiritual movement and the awakening movement. And that's great. It's really, really awesome to be fully immersed in this awakening, because unless you are fully immersed, don't bother. Just go back to living life and have a good time. It's going to require commitment. This is a commitment beyond anything. You are learning how to love yourself. In a sense, you're learning how to marry yourself. And in that sense of marrying yourself, part of you has to die. And it's a very traumatic thing. It's a very beautiful thing. It's life-changing, life-giving. It's all those wonderful things we like to say that spirituality is. But it's a commitment, just like anything is. So you can't be just like halfway, have your foot in the water, because then everything is going to sound like bullshit to you. And because you cannot speak about these things directly. You can only speak about them metaphorically, because nothing exists. And even that, for 99% of you, just went right over your head. It sounds like Zen, like a Zen cone or something. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I mean it in the literal sense. I mean it as literal as you can possibly make it. And so what this teaching is really, really about is realizing that two things are true at the same time, which is a huge, huge concept to get your mind around, because we are so stuck in a single narrative, a single way of looking at things. It is almost psychologically impossible to see things that are outside of your scope, outside of your ability to, your window to the world. Thank you, Lady Free Flow. Awesome. Welcome to the chat. Lynn, welcome to the chat. Thank you very much. So by looking at this diagram, you can see how two things are true at the same time. No? And that's what spirituality is about. That's what awakening is about. It's the reconciliation of opposites, which is a very, very deep rabbit hole. And that's what we're going to kind of unpack a little bit today. And believe in my dog more than my dogmatic dogma. I love that, Shusha. That's great. Yeah, I believe in my dog too. He hasn't shown up. He's like, I don't think I'm paying him enough. He won't show up to the shows. He's upstairs. He's like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm not doing that. But I did set up some cool cameras for you, though. Make it a little bit interesting. I told you I was going to step it up every single time I come here to do this. So getting back to the spiritual talk, yeah, letting go of your dogma is a difficult thing to do for some people, because this whole trip is about letting go of identity in general. And that's the ego's life source. That is the sustenance for the ego, is identity. And so it's not the kind of thing like you can just drop your identity tomorrow. That's not going to happen like that. You can't just do that. This is a long process, and you have to be in for that. This is a lifelong journey. This journey to the ascension of the mountain, to look over the other side, is a lifelong pursuit. There are amazing vistas along the way, and those vistas have incredible realization to them, where you're seeing a magnificent perspective of what things were and how they are and how they really are compared to how they were to you. But reaching the summit, the highest part of that mountain, It's a lifelong pursuit. And my goal today is to take you to one of those vistas, probably the vista. It actually is the vista. Excuse me. The summit of everything. And but here's the thing, just like the Buddha says, he says, I can only lead you to the door, but it's up to you to walk through it. And that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to let go of all of the dogma. We're going to strip all of that stuff away. And we're going to walk very closely to the door. And we're going to open the door. And you can decide if you want to jump through it or not. Now, it sounds like, oh boy, here we go. It's going to happen. Less than 1% of you are going to have the balls to jump through that door. It's that uncomfortable. And the only time that you're going to be feeling okay and feel like you're ready to walk through that door is when you've had enough haystacks of belief accumulate that you reach a state of faith. And the faith is what's required to walk through that door, because you're walking through something that feels like death to the ego. But it isn't. It's life. But it feels like death in every possible way. So most of you are what's going to happen is I'm going to lead you to the door, and the ego is going to be that voice in the back of your mind that's going to say, no, that's impossible. This person's crazy. This person's done too much acid. Don't listen to this person. This person's psychotic. You have to be responsible. You have to do all the things that you have to do. You have to take care of all of the things that you said you would do. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. This is required of you. You have to go to work. You have to do love. You have to do all of these things, right? But the truth is you don't have to do anything. And that is terrifying to the ego, because the ego can't exist in that. The ego has no power over you in that. So the ego hates this message. This is the message of Satsang. This is a practice of Zen called Satsang. And it's a practice of non-dualism, non-duality, if you want to learn more. And all of my quests on this path, which has been well over 20 years now, this has resonated the most. It's the most uncomfortable, but it resonates the most. And if you can get good at this, it will provide you a direct experience over and over and over and over again. And you won't even have to take a single psychedelic to get there. You'll have it just in your present. But like I said, it's so uncomfortable that it's almost impossible to hold on to. I've been practicing this for a very long time, and even I have difficulty holding on to it when things get rough. You know, that's when that's what the test is that I was talking about last week. You have these challenging things that arise in your life, and you're tested. So you're going to be tested. Do you have the faith to walk through the door even when I've taken away this? And if the answer is yes, you'll be saved. But for most of us, self-included sometimes, the answer is no. So, and that's the truth for any person out there who's calling themselves a teacher or a guru. You know, there's nobody that's past that point. You know, if they weren't past that point, they wouldn't be here. That's the reason we're here, is to be tested and to see how much can be pushed on you before you're going to walk through that door. So all of that introduction there to say before we get going, I'm going to take a little look at the chat here. And where are we at? Lady Spellwrecker says, I love that reconciliation of opposites. So many see things in black and white. Yes, that is absolutely true. The thing about reconciliation of opposites is you have to understand that every single thing that you can think about is only a half-truth. There is no thing that you can think about that is the full truth, because everything is dual. Everything has a this way to look at it and a that way to look at it. And you can't escape that, because that's the necessity, that's the necessary foundation of reality. All of reality is built upon that, and you can't take that away. You can only observe it with realization and make different choices based on your wisdom of that dualism. I hope that helps a little bit. So let's break it down. I'm going to jump in here, and feel free to put stuff in there and let me know if it gets a little... Excuse me a second. I'm going to grab some water. We'll do the water cam. How's this? Hold on. Told you I was going to step it up. So, all right. So what I want to get to is first principles. First principles. And this is an act of breaking everything down to what we can observe directly. So it's chiseling away all of the unnecessary stuff surrounding everything that you can think about that is caught in time. If it's caught in space and time, which are the same thing, outside of your present experience, that is the part we want to disregard. And we want to look at just what is here in front of us, what we can see, what we can taste, smell, experience in the here and now, removing all time and space from that thought and idea. All right? And we want to get to the foundation of what reality is. And what do we know? And it sounds so simple, but we spend almost none of our lives in this place. So if you're not used to getting to this place, it's probably going to feel very, very strange, disorienting, maybe even a little bit uncomfortable. Those of you who meditate are already familiar with what I'm going to get to. But if you don't meditate and you are new to this, but somehow you are mysteriously drawn to this topic, this conversation, if YouTube has suspected that you're into this and has started suggesting videos like this to you, and you haven't had this experience, I want you to just take a moment real quick. In fact, we should all just take 10 seconds to just get a hold of what is real in your life, get a hold of what you love and trust in your life, and just hold on to that and realize how true and real that is for you, because we're about to strip it all away, and it can be a little bit uncomfortable if you haven't had this experience. So are you guys ready to get into this? All right. So I'm going to start with Thoth, because a lot of the spiritual teachings come back to him. Now, this isn't to say we're sun worshippers or all of the dogma surrounding Thoth. And yes, I'm realizing that Thoth we're talking about something that's caught in time, caught in history. That's what it seems like, but I'm not speaking about Thoth as the builder of the pyramids or architect of the pyramids. I'm not speaking about Thoth as the inventor of writing. I'm not speaking about Thoth as the inventor of astronomy or the inventor of astrology or the science of number. This is all the things that the Thoth is accredited for. And this is a picture of him here. He has a bird's head. He has a picture of an ibis bird, which is an Egyptian bird that lives on the Nile River. And this isn't what he really looked like. Thoth is an archetype. Now, I'm not trying to say that Thoth wasn't a real living, breathing being at some point in time, but if you go and understand his teachings, history doesn't matter. The history is irrelevant. The history is false. So we have to look at Thoth as the archetype for what he is. And if you look real quick, you'll see that he has a bird's head, the ibis bird. He has a very long beak. This is a symbol. This is to symbolize Thoth's ability to break things down to first principles. This bird eats twice its weight every day, and it has a little tiny opening at the end of its beak. So it has to eat all of this food in very, very small little tiny bites. And that's to symbolize the Thoth's ability to break things down to the first principles. You guys with me so far? And if you're unfamiliar with Thoth, I highly recommend reading some of his stuff, some of his work. He's very famously has written the Emerald Tablets, which are an amazing read. And it's written, the Emerald Tablets are like, if you can imagine a grandfather explaining spirituality to a child, that is what Thoth is. And it's deep. You could read it 100 times and get something new out of it every single time you read it. So very, very amazing stuff. And a lot of those teachings have been broken down further through esoteric studies, which is the Greek Pythagorean schools, which were based on Hermes Trismegistus. And Hermes was the Greek god of wisdom and also said to be the reincarnation of the archetype of Thoth. So it's this renewal of Thoth's teachings in the Greek period, which was thousands of years after the Egyptian period. So again, we're not getting caught in time. We're speaking about these people in terms of archetypes of mind. So So everything I'm about to tell you is come from these schools of thought. And esoteric wisdom and Pythagorean wisdom is goes back to the Greeks. Get into all of the Greek famous teachers: Socrates, Plato, Plotinus is my favorite. But these teachings are really, really, really heavy, and a lot of that wisdom was passed down into all of the mystery schools for thousands of years until the beginning of the First World War, when it was written down for the first time in a book called the Kybalion by 3 initiates. And it was written down because up until this point it was kept secret. You had to be in a special club to even know these teachings. But there was real fear that it was going to be lost to antiquity during the First World War. No one really knew how bad it was going to get. So it was printed. It was put into a book, and it's called the Kybalion. And I highly, highly recommend this book. But I don't recommend it if you're new to this journey. It's definitely the deep end. So if you are already ready for the deep end, the Kybalion is a great book, which is based on largely the teachings of Thoth and Pythagoras and the Emerald Tablets. So there. So again, the spiritual pursuit is a commitment. It's not for the weary. It's not for anything like that. You got to have a total commitment to doing this, and with the understanding that it's a lifelong pursuit. And a lot of people, they start to wake up. Excuse me. They start to wake up, and especially if you're American, there's this idea that we want to wake up real fast. It's like everything's good. Like, I want to just take a class and I want to be enlightened, right? Or I want to read this book and be enlightened. So people they go to yoga and they see a chakra chart and they're like, oh yeah, I made my root chakra last May, and then this September I'm working on my heart chakra. Look, these are years of pursuit to get through these levels of seeing things. These are different lens. Chakras are, yes, part of the biofield, but they are also, and the morphogenic field, but they are also the lens through which you view reality. And the majority of the lenses of the chakra system, which I'll get into in a little bit, are not open to you. For 90% of the people in the world, there's only the root chakra lens that you're looking through the world through. And it's a little tiny peephole. That's how you're viewing the world. And then you get to the sacral chakra, and it's a little bit bigger. And you go, oh, I can kind of see a little bit more here. Solar plexus is like, oh, I can kind of see this much. And the heart is like, whoa, right? And then you get up to the throat and the third eye and the crown, and now you've got this full picture. And the full picture looks nothing like this. Totally different points of view. But they are both true at the same time, are they not? Yeah. Awesome. You guys are lighting up that chat. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Awesome. So here we are. So yeah, prepare for a lifelong journey. And that's all I want to say about that, really. And before I throw you into the deep end here. And I want you to realize this, that there are 1 million pathways to the absolute. There's 1 million spiritual pathways to enlightenment. But there is only one truth. And in this journey and in the culture of spirituality, there's a widespread belief that, it's a personal thing, it's different for everyone, and you believe what you believe. Look, I'm not telling you what to believe, but the pathway to the absolute leads to one place, to one thing. And it is beyond words. But it is undeniable when you experience it as the only answer. It is so far away from any conception you might have about what it could be that when it hits you, it's absolutely undeniable. And all you can do is laugh. You can either laugh or scream because it's terrifying at the same time. And yes, this glimpse, and again, I'm going to point to the door today, is enlightenment. But then that's only part of it. The seeing it is one thing. Acting on it is a whole other thing. And that's called self-actualization. And that's where the real game begins. That's where you really start playing the game. And that's where things really get testy. Testy in good ways. And don't be like, why am I want to learn the spiritual stuff so I can make things harder? It's not that you'll make life harder. You're going to make things challenge you in different ways. Now, the reward to being challenged in different ways is Spirit provides for you in different ways. So the things that are bothering you now, the real challenges in your life now, maybe you're stressed out over money, maybe you're stressed out over a relationship, maybe you're stressed out over 10 things at work. What will happen is all of these things will start to fall away one at a time. And you won't stress about them anymore. They just won't be a thing anymore. You might still be broke, but the bills for whatever reason are going to get paid by some sort of magic way. Or something else will happen that will come through that will just be nothing that you could have ever imagined, but there it is. It's taking care of life for you. So have faith in that it's a worthy pursuit to go for this here. It really, really, really is. But it's not total freedom. It's freedom from the life that you are experiencing now if you haven't had it. It's total freedom from that life, but it's a new type of challenge to sustain it. That becomes the pursuit, is sustaining it and remembering the truth. So I say this with absolute conviction, because this conviction to which I'm speaking of this is the conviction of the Christ. This is the absolute conviction of witnessing the absolute and witnessing the truth of what is. It's unshakable, undeniable. No one could shake me from this at all. It wouldn't happen. It's more true than anything you've ever experienced in your life, ever. So here we are. Hang on, before I lose my place in line here. A second. Oh my gosh. What we got here? Joel says, wish it worked that way. Yes, maybe so. Let's see. You know what? I'll read these later because there's just too many of them. We'll just wait till we get to the end here and I'll start catching up on them. All right. So you guys with me so far? Give me a little thumbs up if you're still with me. Right on. So all that to say, dogma serves its purpose. Dogma is a tool. All of these rituals are tools, and the rituals are very, very, very important for getting the mind into a state of reception and openness to experiencing something transcendent. So that is where the dogma comes in. But the problem is too many people get stuck in the dogma and mistake the dogma for the thing itself. So when I'm speaking to people who are for the most part going to church and they're doing their thing on Sundays, I'm not knocking that. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think the church has amazing things to offer the world, but read it yourself. Read the Bible yourself. You don't need all the dogma. You can just you'll probably get a million times more out of it by just reading it yourself. And so the dogma, try to let go of that for right now. And we're just going to get to first principles and just focus on the here and now. The dogma is like a toolbox. And these tools are what you're going to use to work once you're at the state of enlightenment and you're in the quest of sustaining it through self-actualization. And the dogma will help you. These are like routines and practices and rituals to help you remember to get into these states of mind. But that's what they're for. That's the main thing. So again, first principles is to see things as they are. It is to get in here and just see things exactly as they are here and now. And what is true. And what is true is only what I can see, taste, smell, and hear in this current reality. What else is there? We have our five senses, but we can also feel things, right? We could feel things with our heart. We could feel things emotionally. We have cognitive stuff going on in the back of our mind where we're processing things differently. We're relating to the now based on all of our memories. So everything that we're seeing in the here and now is a projection of yourself. It's a projection based on experiences that you've had in life that are stored in your memory. The truth is, we never see anyone or anything. We're only ever seeing a reflection of who we've become. I'm going to repeat that again. We are never actually seeing anyone or anything. We are only ever seeing a reflection and projection of who we've become. And as you work on yourself, your associations for words, for symbols, for archetypes, for actions, for all of these patternistic routines in life that we've assigned to our reality, we store that in our memory, and then as we're experiencing reality, we're comparing it to the previous experiences in our memory, and then from that comparison contrast, we're creating a new picture in the mind and a new experience in the mind. So as you grow and work on yourself, you're going to experience reality differently, because you're no longer going to see things as quite as negatively as you did before, because you're lightening the load on the self. And this is why spiritual people are very light. They're very, very, there's not a whole lot going on. Now, this is not to say all the people walking around saying love and light and everything's bliss and blah, blah, blah. That's a bunch of crap too. That's part of the trap. That's part of the psyop. The spiritual pursuit could be nasty. It could be difficult. You've got to dive into yourself. You got to forgive a lot of things. You have to go into your shadow, and you have to be willing to just let it all out. Let it express. You have to get into why these things are there and find new ways to release them. And, shadow work, I can do 10 episodes on shadow work. That's a whole thing, but we're not going to get into that today. Right now, I want you to get into first principles. So let's just take a big breath. Let's just start to reel our minds in, whatever kind of stuff you got going on in your life, whether it's stresses at work, stresses in your relationship, stresses with your kids, existential stresses. Maybe AI's got us freaked out a little bit. Let all that stuff go, as if it doesn't even exist, because it doesn't. And you're like, oh, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Of course it exists. My kids are in the other room. They exist. My job is on Monday. It exists. Yes, they exist to you now. But what enlightenment is focus. You can boil it all down to focus. If you remove all of time, all of space, and just focus on what is true, that is the only thing that is true. Everything else that is not in the here and now doesn't exist until you move your focus to look for it. There's an old adage, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Not only does it not make a sound, if there's no one there to hear it, it doesn't fall and there is no forest. Because there's only the here and now. And anything you can think about is the imagination. And this will kind of freak you out. This is kind of cool. Check this out. So like if you put your thumb out like this, right? You close one eye and you stare at your thumbnail, right? That is about all that your eyes are actually seeing in perfect focus. Just that right there. And the rest of it is largely made up by your imagination. It's filled in by the imagination. It's filled in by memories. It's filled in by previous experiences. And your reality is built off of that. All of reality is built off of that. And this is why it's a collective reality. So reality is coming into form as we remember it. And because there's so many of us, each of us are kind of holding a piece of that rendering, which is why everything kind of seems very, very real. It has all this patina to it that I've talked about on the show. And we're each remembering different aspects of things, and as we're all remembering together, it's making it solid. This collective is forming it into being, into something that seems like it is very, very real. But it isn't real. It isn't real. All of this is a dream in the mind of the one. It's not your dream. It's not my dream. It's no one's dream. It's only the dream of the one. Because only the one exists. Nothing else exists except for the one. There's only the one. There's only the mind of the one. God, Brahman, the absolute. The still point, 0 point. There's a million different names we can give it. But this, here and now, this is it. With your eyes open and you're breathing in and out, I want you to look around your reality and just take a moment. Don't look at the screen. Just look around you. Feel things. I want you to marvel over the amazing depth of detail in this dream. How real it seems. How solid things feel. But they're not real at all. And again, it sounds like I'm on acid. It sounds like some kind of crazy mushroom trip. But every science in the world will tell us that this is not solid. It's made of vibration. Energy, frequency, and vibration are the substrate to all of reality. That is the first principle. That's what makes everything into being. And the minute you're not looking at it, it's not there. It's not there. It may be potentially held there by others who are sharing that memory with you. So if you go out together with your family to the living room, the family is what's creating the living room together, right? So if you look away, maybe someone else is looking somewhere else and that part of it is being rendered. But whatever's not being rendered doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And you say, how can that be? How can it just be this dream? How could there be no other dreams? There's no other dreams because there's only the one. There are an infinitude of dreams happening one at a time. And they're always being played by the one. Where it gets a little freaky is to realize that not only does no thing exist, but you don't exist. I don't exist. The ego hates that. What do you mean I don't exist? It means I don't exist. This is a dream. It's a dream within the mind of the one. Again, this all sounds impossible, but I could spend hours showing you scientific document after scientific document. I could prove this to you again and again and again. As a matter of fact, I could tell you unequivocally, you can't prove me wrong, but I can prove this in a variety of ways. People have been trying to prove this idea wrong for thousands of years, and it's the only thing that holds up because it's the truth. And you know it's the truth when you have the transcendent experience. And that transcendent experience will happen to every single person watching this. Every single one of you, if you haven't had it already, will have this experience. It's part of what life is. It's part of the trip. Realizing this is the trip. So are you guys with me so far? Everybody good? I'm gonna have I'll grab the water real quick. 1 second. We'll do the water can. I'm trying so hard to make this cool for you guys. By the way, this music playing in the background is playing live. My studio is right here, right behind me. And I've been working on this song for, I don't know, about a week now. This is a new sleep song. For Phi Tribe. And I'm going to try to have it out tomorrow night. I'll try to edit that together. But you guys are the first to hear it. We're listening to it right now for the first time in the background. And it's not even recorded yet. It's literally playing live. Like the computer is playing all the instruments right now live. It's pretty cool, right? Okay, so we're right here. Back to the here and now. The eternal dream. The eternal dream. So, this is where the ego goes. That's a bunch of baloney. I exist. This is real. I have work tomorrow. I have to do this. I have to blah, 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 blah. Right? The ego is not going to hear this message at all. But planting the seed is enough. Planting the seed is enough for you to see the truth. Because if you can just pretend, You don't even have to accept this as the truth. If you just spend a little bit of time pretending this is the truth, little miracles will start showing up in your life. Little synchronicities, little seeds, little amazing little things that will seem strange at first, seem coincidental at first, and then it moves into a, no, that can't possibly be true. Is that really what's going on here? And then it'll happen again and again and again and again. And it's one thing to have a couple of coincidences in a day, and you're kind of like, wow, that was pretty crazy. That was a crazy coincidence. But there's a difference between small coincidences and huge coincidences. You know, you're thinking of somebody you hadn't thought of in 20 years, and then they suddenly call you out of the blue that day. That's a pretty big coincidence. So you'll start to have those, but you'll have 10 of those in a day. And it gets to a point where you're just like, okay, all right, it can't be any other way. It's statistically impossible. And I've done that. I've sat down and just started working out the statistics on some of these things. And it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. As I told you, I was a very skeptical person when I got into this. You could call me a complete atheist. But I had the experience, and I didn't know what to do with it. I had the experience on psychedelics, and I had no idea how to process it. And because of that, it was a terrifying experience. And it's taken me this many years learning all of these different types of dogmas to understand and put it into the words I'm using now to explain it. And I can tell you so much more. We're just getting started. We're just talking about the first principles today. But as I said, the same thing will happen for you. All you have to do is literally ask the universe. Just ask. Just say, I want to have this experience. I want you to show me. Just say it out loud right now. Just put this on pause for 5 seconds and say, universe, God, whatever your thing is, I want you to show me this experience Ford is talking about. I want to have this experience of non-duality, the still point. And I want you to show this to me, and I won't be afraid. I'll try not to be afraid. But I need to know. I need to see it. Just say that out loud. And that'll set the balls in motion for that to happen for you. So the still point is the dream itself. It's the here and now of this dream. It's what's happening in front of us right here, right now. And because none of us exists, we are the one. We are collectively the one. I am the one. You are the one. Everyone in this chat room is the one. Everyone watching this is the one. Currently playing the part of the person you see in the mirror. It's like a puppet. It's like a character in a play. So play your part. Whatever your part is, just play it with a big fat grin on your face. Look at me. I'm transgender. I got all these kind of crazy issues. My part kind of sucks, but I'm playing it to the fullest because I ran away from this part my whole life. And my life was, it looked pretty on the outside, but it was a disaster on the inside. I was miserable. I wanted to die every single day. And only when I started focusing on this and realizing the importance of playing my part to the fullest did my life turn around. And it turned around in amazing ways. And it's so amazing. I want to share it with everybody who will listen. Because if my life can turn around just from shifting my focus, everyone in here is going to have an amazing life. So that's the importance. And that's where the passion for all this comes from. It comes from that. So yeah, if some of you guys might be asking, well, you know, this seems like a huge commitment, and for what, you know? I've got all these things I have to do. I have to go to work. I have to do all these things, all these requirements, all these responsibilities. And yes, that is very true. All of those things are karma that you've created in your ignorance. So every decision you've ever made, every word you've ever spoken, every intention you've ever had in your life, good or bad, set the wheels in motion to manifest in your life. And it takes years. As a matter of fact, you could say, a lot of people would say it takes 7 years. This is a parable of the seventh son of the seventh son. All the synchronicitous things of the number 7. that the things manifest in cycles of 7 years, 7 months, 7 weeks, 7 days, 7 hours, 7 minutes, 7 seconds, 7 milliseconds. Karma's unfolding like that. So you set an intention, and part of it unfolds in 7 seconds. Another part of it unfolds in 7 minutes. Another part of it unfolds in 7 hours, and so forth. 7 hours, 7 months, 7 years, and then it fully manifests in 7 years. And that's kind of like what that's about a little bit. So it could take a time for it to manifest. You've got a lot of karma to work out that was put there through ignorance. But the still point is to bring you to the door, and that's where we are. This moment right now, where you're just looking around your room saying, is it possible that this thing that I'm seeing and experiencing, this dream, is the dream of God? Is that possible? Could I be so arrogant to think that my shitty little life, however it might be that you perceive it, I do that sometimes too, I beat myself up, could be the dream of God? And I say yes, it's already perfect. It's already exactly the dream that God needed to have to learn or experience this new thing that it was trying to unfold about itself. Again, what we're calling God, what we're calling the still point, what we're calling the dipole, the center of all, the ultimate substrate, the ether, Brahman, is the universe essentially just getting in touch with itself. It's not becoming anything new. It's not growing. It's not trying to learn. It already is everything. It's every possible thing that there is. It's just getting in touch with itself. It's like, oh, what's this do? It's kind of like going, oh, what's that little freckle? I didn't know what that is there. Oh, what's this little pimple here? What's that little weird thing I got on my knee? It's the same thing. We do it too, right? So every single thing is a part of this dream. It's all part of this dream. Now, it's arrogant to think that we could say that it's all centered around us. How could it be centered around my dream and my life and blah, 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 blah? Well, think about it like this. If space is infinite in every direction, then by definition, you are the center of the universe. So I'll repeat that again. If space is infinite in every direction, then by definition, you are the center of the universe. Everything is toroidal. Everything is toroids. Donuts, which we'll get into in another episode. So everything is the center, not just you and your life is the center, but everything is the center. So the dream is about you and your life, and it's also about the individual cells in your skin. Each one of those cells is in itself a dipole of consciousness. So from its perspective, the whole dream is happening about it. It's all about it. The world revolves around the cell. The world revolves around the body. Everything is the one. There is no thing that isn't the one. And there is no thing that doesn't have consciousness. Everything is conscious. Everything. Everything may not be sentient. Everything may not be self-aware, but everything is a part of consciousness. And that's an amazing thing. You can really let yourself get into that. Like, just spend a moment, just take a moment and just appreciate the absolute wow of that. That out of all possibility, that of all crazy things for God to dream about, the thing that you happen to be, the part that you happen to be playing is this part right now. You could have been a rock. You could have been a leaf. You could have been a lizard. You could have been a roach. You could have been your dog. You could have been your brother or sister. You could have been a lot of different things. But you're you. You're here. This is who you are. And this is the part. And it's the one. And it's perfect. And we can't restrict that consciousness to just living things either. It's everything is conscious. So the thoughts used to speak these words to you are systems of consciousness. Each thought, right? And even though a thought might only last for a fraction of a second, the thought happens, it spoke, dissipates, right? That thought is alive. Everything is alive. When you go to a concert, right? Everything that's together at the concert responding to the music, is it not becoming one organism at that point? That's why we get goosebumps when the singer comes on, because it's like the center of what's happening, right? In that moment, we've all become one, and we're aware that we are the one, and we're reacting as if we are the one. And that is because we are tuned into the morphogenic field of everyone around us. And we can be like that all the time, but our ego doesn't like that. Our ego is powerless in that state. It's powerless in the sense that you're powerless when you go to a concert. You can scream, no one really hears you. It's just another scream. It's just another voice amongst thousands of voices, right? But nonetheless, you're having the experience, and it's amazing, and you're sharing the experience with everybody, which is amazing. But at the same point, you're all individual. And at the same time, you're all the one. It's two things at the same time. There's two truths at the same time, and it's just a matter of perspective. There's that picture again. Let you guys look at that again. So important. Two things are true at the same time. A, you're dreaming. Nothing is real. And that nothing beyond the walls of your reality are real, unless there's someone there to perceive it. Now, that is a truth to hold on to, and that is a life-changing truth. Uh-oh, we have a visitor. Atlas Cam. He decided to come to it. He's very upset because it's past his bedtime, and he wants me to go to bed. But this is the cool hour. This is when all my cool peeps are out. It's Saturday night, right? All right, so let me get some water real quick. Water can. Okay. I think we lost our music somehow. I don't know what happened. Oh, you know what happened? Hang on one second. This will be worth it. Yeah, the computer went to sleep. Oops. So we lost our music, but it's still cool though, right? All right. So where am I here? You guys all cool? Do you want me to keep going, or do you want me to pay attention to the chat? Okay, so I'm just gonna get in here and read some of this stuff. Let's see. Okay. So the thing is, first you need to resolve the karma. If the thing about all of this stuff is you have to be careful with this teaching, because if you're not ready, if you're not ready to really open this door and go through it and see this, and what I mean by that is be committed to what I'm saying to you, is that nothing is real, and there's no thing requiring you to be responsible for anything. You are God. You are the center. You are the center of the universe. The entire universe revolves around you. Now, can you begin to see the solipsism in that? The nihilism in that? When the ego wants to get a hold of that? When the ego says, I am the center of the universe. Everything revolves around me because I am the Christ. See how dangerous that is? And that's where most of spirituality teachings lead you, to that solipsism. Because there's an agenda there. And the agenda is not by the deep state. The agenda is not by Satanists and all this crazy. The agenda is the agenda of the adversary. It is a force. It is an energetic force in this world that creates this world. And it is in direct opposition to the absolute of Brahman. The adversary is infinite lack, infinite desire, unfulfillment forever. And it wants very much for you to forget this. It doesn't want you to know this at all. And when you act on it, and you're only sort of getting it, you lack the faith to manifest things the way you need to do it, which is why you have to do this very, very slowly. You have to get into this state of understanding. even if you don't believe it, pretend like you believe it, and start to see the world unfold for you. And it will, I promise you it will. It will absolutely do this for you. And each time there's a new coincidence, a new something, you'll be rewarded. And you're going to have a little bit more courage to take a bigger step of faith. And only when you feel like you are ready do you come to this door and jump through. And that is not, may not be right now, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year, it may not be in 5 years, it may not be in 10 years. That's how much karma you have to undo. That's how much karma you've got to resolve or let it just play out. And how you create beautiful karma is by walking the walk of Christ, walking the walk of Krishna, right? This is the walk of Buddha. It's to be light, to be love. Because when you are love, you're creating the karma of love. And all the karma that you made in ignorance, when you didn't realize love was so important, well, it just dissipates. It just runs out, right? Now that you know that every word, every action is creating karma that's going to come back to you without question, there's your self-motivation for selfish reasons to be compassionate and loving. Just start there. Just start there. Find the compassion there for selfish reasons, because that's easy. Anybody can do that. And then the more you do it, you start to realize the bliss that compassion gives you. It's a reward in itself. It's amazing. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. The highlight of my life is reading the comments from you guys and sifting through Phi Tribe and meeting everybody and encountering all of the millions of people that I've had the privilege of helping. And that is an amazing feeling. And I want all of you to feel that. And you can. You can have that feeling just as easily by just saying hi to strangers, being kind to the cashier, being kind to the waitress, being kind to people for the sake of being kindness. Because there's no one winning anything. There's no competition. It doesn't exist. It's all illusion, illusion of the ego, all of it. All of it. So here we are. I'm going to get into this chat room here. I'm going to start looking at things. How are you guys doing? Yeah? Everybody good? America's Aries Sun says, this answers my questions from earlier. Right on. The universe experiencing everything and no thing. You are the universe. You are all and no thing. Yes, absolutely true, Lady Spellbreaker. Shusa says, spoke into the sky tonight, walking my dog, asking for alignment to just being guided by and in the will of the divine will. Yes, beautiful, Shusa. Because it's so tricky not glitching by getting stuck in emotions. Yes, there's the rub. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. The emotion grabs hold of you when we're stressed. And what happens? Our focus becomes 100% that focus, right? If something terrible happened, that's going to be all you can think about, right? And as you focus on it, it's becoming more real the more you're focusing on it through focus. So what you want to do is when you're having a hard time, you want to do the thing that seems like the most irresponsible to do, which is to shift your focus. So if you had a really, really terrible day and a tragic day, go watch a comedy. Go to a comedy club, or go watch a movie, or go play with your kids, or do something. Take the day off of work. Maybe you got fired, or you're going to get fired. Whatever the terrible thing is, but do the opposite of what instinct and what ego tells you to do. Ego wants you to address it. It wants you to focus harder on it. Focus harder. If you only focused harder, you wouldn't be in this situation, is what your ego tells you. Wrong. Wrong. Lady Spellbreaker says, the ego is so tricky too. Yes, it is. Extremely tricky. It seemed like your path was a sucky path for a long time, but you had to realize that it was a fork in the road and another door that you could choose. Absolutely. This is what I'm talking about with focus. choose your reality. You're not creating reality, you're choosing reality. You're choosing it through your choices and your focus. What do you want to look at? What do you want to pay attention to? Yes, awesome. What do we have here? Awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for all the contributions in there. So yeah, you want to use your focus to create new karma. All the karma that you're creating from here on out, you want to use your focus to do that. Realize that you're in a dream. Become lucid in the dream. And know that the dream doesn't become real until the moment you're perceiving it, right? So use your own dreams as a metaphor, right? When we go to sleep at night and we have a dream, let's say you're dreaming of being in a city and you're hanging out with somebody. Is the city real? Or is it all in your head? But it feels real. It seems real. It seems real as anything. Anybody who's had a lucid dream, especially on the Phi Tribe music, knows what I'm talking about. It is indistinguishable from reality because it is reality. It's a dream within a dream. And that's what life is. It's a dream within a dream within a dream forever. It's never not dreaming. And not only is it never not dreaming, it's the one that's never not dreaming. And there's no one that is not the one. No one in the dream exists. And when you're in the dream, just realize that it's a temporary separation from the one. And it's a separation of mind. It's not a literal separation. It's all in your mind. There is no separation to anything. If you do this, you'll be able to watch all the trials and tribulations in your life fade away. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. It'll happen slowly. Miracles will happen. Little things will come into your life to take away the agitation miraculously. It may not come the way you think it's going to come, so don't get attached to how that looks. But just visualize in your mind what you want your dream to look like. And it will morph into that. It's taking control. Right now, you're on autopilot. Right now, the ego has been the director of the dream. The ego has been at the helm of the wheel of the processor that's interpreting all of this information. The scientist Robert Edward Grant had a brilliant way of describing this. He says, if you could imagine that all of reality is made of QR codes. It's just a bunch of QR codes everywhere. It's not even real. It's just QR codes everywhere you look. But the act of looking at it is what manifests it into being. It's just potential. It could potentially be this thing until you focus on it. And the moment you focus on it, it renders that aspect of reality into being. And it's only rendering into reality just for the moment. And you look at something else and it renders that into reality. So no matter where you look, you're rendering it into reality just for a second. I look over here, this goes away, and this is rendering, right? And if I peer a little deeper, if I look a little deeper, if I look for a book to validate everything I'm learning in this, well, I'm going to manifest that book. And it's going to seem like that book was written just for me. Because it was written just for me. It was written just for me, by me, right here, right now, with a name by some author that was really just me, and another here and now, writing it for me. The ego only thinks it's death, but you're still you. That's the thing. It dies, and you're still you, with all of your beautifulness and all of your imperfections too. It's still you. You still feel like you. But you're not the ego anymore because you could see the ego work at that point. You're not the voice in your head at that point. You're just the observer in your head at that point. And then the voice happens that you used to think that was you. And it's just saying all of its things that it says. You're not enough. You're too ugly. You're too fat. Blah, blah, blah. You're not making enough money. You didn't do this. You got to focus on this more. All of the things that the ego says to you. Except that used to be your voice. This used to be you. This used to be me. I was talking like this, and I was reacting on all of these things, right? But now that I realize that the ego doesn't exist, that there's only this dream happening, and none of us have any power over anything other than what we're focusing on. That's the only power we have. Enlightenment is the ability to respond. That is it. It isn't any deeper than that. It isn't any more dogmatic than that. It doesn't require any more lessons than that. You could read 1,000 books on spirituality, and they're all going to point you to that single thing. Enlightenment is the ability to respond. It's your ability to focus. And there's tremendous power in that. Tremendous power. There's the power of God in that. And when you learn to focus with intention and not focus on the things that are irritating, the things that are irritating just fall away. They just fade out of the dream. Now, they always fade out of the dream in some sort of realistic way, because the dream always has to maintain integrity of the dream. That's the job of the adversary. It's to present the dream, but keep it as real as possible. And the only thing that transcends the realism of the dream is this conversation. It's the only thing that you can do to get yourself out of the stream of consciousness. This conversation pulls us right out of the stream, and we're seeing it for what it is. We see the stream for what it is. Just a stream of rolling thoughts of consciousness that the ego is responding to. You guys are awesome. Boy, you guys are really helping each other. I love this. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love having this energy. Joshua Kane, what's up? You said, I am the dreamer and the dream. Yes, you are the dreamer and the dream. How freaking cool is that? How awesome is that? It's amazing. It's completely amazing. Life is a miracle. This is what I mean by possessing a divinity about yourself. When you realize this is true, you realize that what is unfolding here has no explanation. And it has explanation at the same time. It's like this mystery that we understand the mechanics of how it's unfolding, but where it comes from or what it's all about, we haven't a clue. Nobody has a clue. Nobody has a clue. It's just God. It's just God. Now, science, we call that the hard problem. In science, if you take a look at if your science wants to look at things through a linear lens, time starts here and ends here. There's this timeline of events, and there's an unfolding, right? That's how science looks at everything. So science creates a past to validate what's happening now, instead of just accepting what's happening now as real. It's inventing a story in the imagination that never lives anywhere else except for the imagination. All of history is in the imagination. It's never not the imagination. No matter how real it seems, no matter how many archaeological things they can point at, all of those things came into existence in the here and now, just for this moment, just for this dream. Created in the here and now. Joel says you're just working through it and it's manifesting physically. Oh, you guys are down here helping each other. You're awesome. Lynn, don't worry if you had to reboot. I keep all of these lives up. If you go to my channel under the lives tab, you will find all of the previous live shows. I don't take them down. I leave them up here. So they're always there for you. And if this is new information to some of you, I encourage you to watch it a few times, because to be honest with you, I could say this to you a million times, but until the mind is ready to hear it, it's just going to be words. This is a line from the Kabbalion. Until the person is initiated and ready, everything will just appear as words. And that's what this seems like. That's why things seem like they're Zen koans. But they're not riddles so much as they are being very literal. It just seems like a Zen koan or a Zen riddle because the ego can't make sense of it. The trick is to see and focus with something higher than the ego. Awesome. Do you guys have anything you want me to get into? And if not, I'm going to probably call it a night. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes already. I don't want these to be too long because it's heavy, dense stuff, you know. But if you have any questions at all, I'm up for the challenge. Feel free to challenge me. I can take it. Be a doubting Thomas, please. And by the way, anybody who isn't familiar with the teachings of Thomas, to me, that's the most powerful teaching in the Gnostic tradition of Christianity, because Thomas was the doubter. You have to go into this as a doubting skeptic. You can't go into it with a bunch of blind faith, because you'll never see it. Yes, Lady Spellbreaker's validating. Once the mind and heart are open to receive, it works. Yes, it's about aligning the heart and mind. It's a huge part of it. So let's get into the chakras real quick, because that is kind of part of this focus. I wanted to show you guys a picture of the chakra system, but I didn't have it in the thing. I couldn't get it loaded in time. But hopefully everybody here has an idea of what the chakra systems look like. And this is a morphogenic field, actually. A lot of people think that the chakras are inside the body. They're not. They're not. These little 7 dots inside the body. That's the center of where they are, but they're fairly large spheres, about 3 meters, they say, in size, and they can get even bigger. And this is your morphogenic field, and it could be photographed. There's able to take photographs of this, but these fields are what actually creates the body in reality, because the chakras themselves are like lenses through which you're looking at reality. Each of the chakras are mechanisms for decoding the QR code that is reality. It's a different lens, and like I said before, you have a small lens for the root chakra, sacral gets a little bigger, solar plexus a little bigger, heart's a little bit bigger, and so on, until you see everything. You get to the third eye, and that's when you're really starting to see the truth. You are seeing the two opposite things as true at the same time. That's what it means to have your third eye open. I can look around with my eyes and see reality as it's built for me, as a human would see it. But I can also look around the room through my third eye lens, realizing that nothing is real. There is only the realness of this dream right now, and it's only for this temporary moment right now. And it's only going to be whatever I'm focused on. It could be good or bad. It's just the room. America Aries Sen says, what's the next step if we choose to walk through the door? I'm glad you asked. The first thing is faith. You've got to build your faith up. And if your faith is lackluster, don't jump through this door. And what I mean by jumping through the door, don't act on, don't just go quit your job Monday and be like, oh, nothing's real and I can do whatever I want and spend all my money and it's all fake anyway. It's monopoly money and God will replace it. Don't do that, because you will hurt yourself really bad if you do that. You have to build up your faith. And that will come slowly. If you're a non-believer, and even if you are a believer, I want you to lose whatever faith you have. Just strip it down. I only want you to know the faith that comes from firsthand experience. You should only have the faith that comes from the miracles that unfold in your life, that you know it's true. That's what faith is. Faith is absolute knowing. It's being convinced of something that's real. And like I said, imagine like thoughts are these little parts of your belief system, and you're building up this haystack of beliefs until it's firm enough to build this bridge that you can walk through the door. But when you walk through the door, when you are ready to walk through that door, it's bumpy at first because, like I said, you're mucking through a lot of karma that you've made in ignorance, and that's when all those tests pop through. But if you can just stay with it, have faith, hold on to your faith, address the karma that presents itself. And what I mean by karma could be you have a job on Monday. If you have a job on Monday, if that's the karma you created, well, then you got to go to that job on Monday. You have to fulfill the karma. You have to play the part. But you can set an intention to not have a job to go to on Monday. And within 7 years, there will be some miraculous thing that will happen, and you won't have to go to a job on Monday. It'll be something different. It'll be something else equally annoying, but it won't be going to the job on Monday, which is a huge part of alchemy. This is another thing I wanted to address. Another part of the psyop of spirituality is the law of attraction, and everyone's manifesting things. So I'm going to manifest this. I'm going to manifest a parking lot. I'm going to manifest $1 million. I'm going to win the lottery. Careful there. These are very, very important truths of alchemy, which is, I'm not saying that isn't true. It's more of a careful what you wish for kind of a thing. It's like the story of Aladdin. You think you know what you want, but what you think you want isn't necessarily good for you. And that's a lesson that you will learn the hard way if you just start manifesting stuff. It's not a fun lesson. So, yes, manifesting is real, and there are ways to focus your mind to bring things to you much quicker than they would normally. But be very careful what you wish for. Really spend a lot of time getting in touch with the first principles of what you see your dream evolving into. Don't just go, if I had $1 million, my life would be so much different. No. You might get $1 million and your life will still be full of problems, worse problems than if you didn't have the $1 million. I'm not saying that would happen, but it'd be something like that. Get in touch with what your desire really, really is. It's not what the $1 million is. It's what the $1 million will do for you. So instead of thinking about the $1 million, think about what the $1 million does. What does that life look like? What would you do if you had it? You see, this is requiring you to exercise your imagination, which is what the ego doesn't want to do because it's exhausting. But be a dreamer. That's what your role is. Be a dreamer. Be a dreamer. My life is ridiculous. If you guys saw what my life is like, you'd be amazed. But it didn't always look like this. It always looked like this, but I used to be a stress case. I used to be a stress case about a lot of things. But awakening to this truth, a lot of that stuff, it just, like I said, over time, it just faded away. All that worry just dropped. It faded away. Awesome. Boy, you guys are doing awesome here. Kathleen says, question about the chakra chants, Ford. What are your thoughts on those specific sounds? Yes. Okay, so it's each of the chakras have an associated note or frequency that they are harmonic with. And this is what Phi Tribe is all about. Everything is made of energy, frequency, and vibration. It's just like a bunch of vibration going on, and the dream is being created, is kind of processing all of that into this thing that we're calling reality. But when you're not looking, it's just like, Robert Grant says it's a QR code, or you could just say it's vibration. It's just vibrating strings, if you will. Which I don't want to associate this too closely with string theory because that's not what this is. But it's a good metaphor. So yeah, each of the chakras have their own tone, their own sound. And I've created the music on Phi Tribe to go along with those chakra sounds. So as far as the chanting goes, a really, really great thing to do is play the songs that are from the chakras programs that I have. And you'll notice that each of the song, even if it has a movement to it, there's one single note that never changes. And that is the note that you want to focus on. There's one note. So there might be all this musical movement happening, and arrangement, and all this stuff comes and goes. But through the duration of the entire program, there's one note that stays on. And that is the note that belongs to that chakra. So if you can listen to that, I recommend doing it without headphones. Or if you do use headphones, take one earphone off like this so you can hear your voice and hear the frequency of the sound in your headphones. And just hum along to that. Find that note that doesn't change and hum to it. Hum, and hold it, and you run out of air. Hum. So that's what the chants are for. And what that's doing is it's harmonically getting you, through sympathetic resonance, it's making you more harmonic with that chakra. And as it gets balanced, as you balance all those chakras, you're activating those lenses through which you're seeing the world. So if you're stuck in the root chakra, you're looking at it through this, right? And then as you vibrate in harmony with the vibration of the root chakra falls away. And now you're seeing it through the sacral chakra, right? Until you're vibrating with that. And then it falls away, right? But if you haven't gotten to a place spiritually yet that you've been able to open up those chakras, which is what Kundalini is all about, which again, I hate talking about it in sense of Kundalini because it just brings in more dogma. But it's a metaphor for the activation of those chakras is what that is about. And it takes practice as you learn to control your focus more and more through the paradigms, I guess, of each of the chakras. So each of the chakras are different areas of focus. So like the root chakra might be all security related things. Maybe it's money, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's family. But your reality, you're very hyper focused on those things, which is why they present a challenge for you. And the minute you're not focused on it and you're focused on something different, those things resolve themselves. So if you can learn to shift your focus, if you're currently stressed about money or whatever's a root chakra thing related, shift your focus to the next chakra up, which is the sacral, which is more about I amness. It's remembering this conversation. How often can you be in reality? And the moment it gets stressed, the moment you feel that stress come on, you go, oh, there you are. I'm getting stressed. And use that as a mechanism to remember this conversation. Oh yeah, that's right. Nothing's real. I don't have to get bent out of shape over that because it's not real anyway. It's just a test, right? And then suddenly the ego fades away and it's just you. It's just you and this thing that's happening that's stressing you out. And then it becomes laughable at that point. So just pop the paradigm. But keep doing that enough. You pop it by shifting your focus to the next chakra up. And then that helps you, once you've activated each of the chakras, which takes time, it's not going to happen overnight, but once you've activated all the chakras, then you can move around from lens to lens, depending on what you want to look at. Maybe you're building a new business. You do want to look at security and money and those kind of things. You look through the lens of the root chakra. Maybe you're feeling very sexual. You look through the lens of the root chakra, right? Maybe you're looking for love in your life. You look through the lens of the heart chakra. Maybe you have something you want to say. You look through the lens of the throat chakra and embody all of the attributes of those chakras and embody them and become them. Resonate with them. I hope that helps. I hope that helped, Kathleen. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to read all these things here. Kathleen says, thank you for your answer. My experience has been phenomenal with those chants. Frequency is where it's at. Yes, it's amazing. It's you feel silly at first, but you won't believe how amazing it is when you start doing that. Once you start doing it, absolutely. Lady Spellbreaker says, I am abundant. Yes, yes you are. Yes you are. Focusing on your abundance and how abundant you are. If you have $2 to your name, focus on how amazing it is to be abundant. Do things that create the illusion of abundance, even if you don't have it. Act as if is a big thing, a big part of this. Act as if. Everyone's sending love. You guys are so sweet. Thank you guys very much. Well, I'm going to call this one a night. We have so much more we could talk about. I can go on about this for a million hours, but here we are. Thank you guys very much for showing up. I'm going to do this every Saturday night. I'm going to do my best to be here. And thank you guys all for your participation in the chat. And thank you guys very much for being here. And thank you guys for all of the loving support on Phi Tribe. I really appreciate it. And it's all because of you. I'm living the dream. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So have a beautiful, blessed night. Beautiful day tomorrow. And love and light to everybody. Take care. Bye.